translucent, and what's the last one?
Okay.
Okay. You have a bucket of supplies. How many total things do you have to physically write down?
6.
6 or 7, however many lines there are. Are you allowed to talk with your group?
Yes.
Yes. Should you be talking about football this weekend?
No.
No. What would you be talking about with your group? Sam?
Light.
The light. Talking about what you think each one is. You can each take a material if you want. Okay?
Yeah, but Miss Boone, one thing, can I just interject?
Absolutely.
One thing we're not gonna do is argue about it.
Correct.
Because if we hold the aluminum foil up, say Katie holds it up, Justice shines the light, everybody's gonna see the same result, right? I mean, it would be the same for all of our eyeballs, right? Okay, so we're not gonna no, I think I can see. We're gonna do it like soon to be 5th graders. We're not gonna argue about whether or not we can see it. It's the same for everybody. Okay?
All right. So, Mr. Ryan, we can turn. All right. So, just remember, in the end, with Seesaw, you have to pick one object of each kind to be able to do on Seesaw.
Whoa.
Okay. You need to have your flashlight. Don't shine flashlights in each other's eyes. That's in mine.
Right there, let's go. Gotta get it down. That's a coffee Okay, you write them all down? Coffee filter. Isn't that funny? Nobody knows what that is.
I don't know actually.
Want to use my phone?
Take one picture and then couldn't have been anywhere in a way you tried. But yeah. And then you use the label button. And then you type what the first one is and then drag it by the bottom.
Let's do this.
It's on the back table.
Yeah, like that. The filter is it right there?
No?
Oh, found it.
coffee filter, and then he still has to do his material, and then his wax paper.
After you watched your video and your lesson, what did you observe within your lesson?
I noticed that for the most part, they did a good job. There are a couple different instances with groups where they struggled a little bit through the assignment and didn't get as far along as other groups did.
Okay.
And I had a student who wasn't very happy because she had broken her flashlight, so she wasn't able to use it for the activity, and we had to find a workaround for that. But for
Okay.
the most part, they did a good job.
Okay. Did she distract those that were working around her when her flashlight broke?
She did, because one of the students tried to then help her put her flashlight back together, and so then that got him off task from being able to make progress with his assignment that he was trying to do with his flashlight.
Okay. All right, well, let's go and start with some questions. So on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the worst and 10 being the best, how would you rate your lesson?
I would say that it was an 8.
Okay. What pleased you about the lesson?
I thought it was very engaging for the kids. They were able to use their own personal flashlight. They were able to use multiple different objects, some of which they didn't even know the names of or what they were before the lesson had started, and we had to preview that. So I thought it was very engaging and different than what we had done before.
I thought it was different and engaging too because you turned the lights off and it was like a totally different environment for it.
Yeah, and
They
they
were
love the
excited.
lights being off, so
Right.
thought that would be good for them.
Okay. What would have to change to move the lesson closer to a 10?
We had some issues with Seesaw. I thought they were going to be able to upload 3 separate pictures, one of each of the examples of transparent, translucent, and opaque. But Seesaw didn't work that way for them, so we had to change gears in the middle of the lesson, which they responded to pretty well, and upload just one picture and do all of the work on that one picture. So that would be something I would change.
Okay. How often have you guys used Seesaw?
Some have used it more often. We've used it some in class and then some as well at home in small groups. It's hard for us to get all the technology at one time for the whole group to do something independent, but at least a couple times a month we normally use it. So we've used it multiple times this year.
Okay. I noticed that they went to a QR code. How does that work?
So we have a class QR code in the classroom, so they scan that and then they can find their name in the activities list to be able to attach their assignment to their name, so it gets turned in to me that way. But if they're at home, they have their own login, so they use their email address to be able to access things at home, to be able to do their work or to get announcements. And their parents have access at home as well.
Okay.
So their parents, once I approve their assignment today, will be able to see everything they've done today.
Okay. What would your students be doing differently if it was at a 10?
We had some students that didn't finish the assignment. They got a little bit slower, or were playing with the flashlights and the objects or making shadows, because we had talked about shadows earlier in the day, about the light and shadows. So I probably would need to do something different to make their time be more manageable.
Okay.
So I probably would use a timer maybe, a visual timer that I would be able to put up on the screen for them to see and kind of have a deadline of how many minutes approximate, and give them extra time, but how many minutes it should be taking them to do the assignment.
Okay, so a goal that you would like to reach is for them to be 100% finished with the assignment.
Yes, because I had a couple that turned it in that kept on changing their sentences, and so ended up having no sentences. So I have at least 2 that didn't turn it in finished, and then I have a couple others that aren't showing complete in Seesaw. So I don't know if it was, I have to go back and see if that was a technology issue or a time issue as well for them. But I know at least 2 of them had a time issue
Okay.
with the assignment.
Have your students used a visual timer before?
They have. I didn't think about it for this one on the front end. But yes, we usually, when we're working independently, have a visual timer up on the board for
Okay.
them to
And
see.
You've seen success with that.
Yes, it's a huge success. It helps them monitor their time a lot easier, because they can make sure that they're remaining on task. Or if they get off task, they at least have an idea of how much more time they have left.
Okay. How could we measure that data?
So setting the timer would help us hopefully get closer to 100% being complete.
Okay.
because right now I'll have to go back and pull them and see if it was a technology issue or a mastery issue.
Okay, so if you could hit that goal, would it matter?
It would be huge, because now with having to pull them separately, that's another time from our instructional period that I'll have to pull them
Right.
to see if they've mastered the standard, because that's one of their main standards for our light unit is those 3 concepts. So it's big whether or not they know it.
Okay, that makes sense. So teaching strategy that you could use to reach that goal would be the visual timer.
Yes,
That would be a good visual, a
That'd be-
good strategy.
that would be.
Have there been any other strategies that you've used? Maybe nonverbal cues with some of them? Has that?
Yes, so that's a big one that we use in the classroom as well. We have students with various needs, and so being very specific and making mention of things doesn't always work, but that is a good one. The nonverbal cues is good too.
Okay.
So we do.
What would be the next steps to go from here after we've identified your goal? And what steps do we want to take from there?
So I'd like them to investigate a little bit more with Seesaw and see if they can problem solve a little bit, see if they can find a workaround for uploading more than one picture for a future lesson, because I find that would be important and they know a lot about technology. And then we have to make sure that they can demonstrate their knowledge of those 3 concepts in the real world, finding objects around the room and such as well, and not just the objects that were provided for them.
Okay. I think that's a great start.